the unsung heroes of presidential administrations. History often celebrates the presidents who made the most noise, those whose names are synonymous with monumental change or controversy. But what about the unsung heroes of presidential administrations, the men and women who work tirelessly behind the scenes, whose contributions, though invaluable, often go unnoticed by the public? This is the story of one such hero, a man whose work, though not always in the spotlight, shaped the very structure of modern America. A figure whose decisions, quiet and steady, were essential to functioning of the executive branch and to the success of one of the most pivotal presidencies in American history. His name may not be as famous as Roosevelt or Lincoln, but his impact was as deep and far-reaching as any of their actions. In the midst of the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt faced not just the economic crisis, but a nation in turmoil. The world was changing rapidly, and Roosevelt understood that in order to reshape the economy and restore American prosperity, he needed a team of capable individuals who could tackle the most difficult issues facing the country. One of the key figures in Roosevelt's administration was Harold Ickes, the Secretary of the Interior, whose work in shaping public policy and implementing New Deal programs would leave an indelible mark on the nation. Ickes was a man of conviction, known for his staunch progressive ideals and his tireless advocacy for social justice. During his tenure, he played a crucial role in the creation of the Public Works Administration, which aimed to provide jobs for the unemployed, stimulate the economy, and rebuild America's infrastructure. The PWA funded the construction of roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals, creating thousands of jobs for those affected by the Great Depression. But Ickes was not just a bureaucrat. He was a visionary, determined to make America's recovery more equitable and just. Despite his achievements, Ickes often faced opposition from within Roosevelt's own cabinet. His progressive ideals did not always align with the political realities of the time, and his outspoken nature made him a controversial figure. Yet, Ickes remained resolute in his mission, undeterred by the challenges he faced. He believed deeply in the power of government to effect social change, and he worked tirelessly to make that vision a reality. Ickes' story is a reminder that great leadership doesn't always come in the form of grand gestures. Sometimes it's the quiet, determined work of individuals behind the scenes that makes the most lasting difference. Though Harold Ickes may not be as well remembered as other figures in American history, his contributions to the New Deal and to the shaping of modern America are undeniable. Harold Ickes' work during Roosevelt's presidency was not just about administering programs, but about creating a vision for what America could become in the face of adversity. He understood that recovery from the Great Depression wasn't just about economic growth, but about creating a fairer, more just society. Ickes was unwavering in his commitment to civil rights, even when it put him at odds with other political forces in the Roosevelt administration. One of Ickes' most notable achievements was his advocacy for African American rights during a time of widespread racial segregation and discrimination. He fought tirelessly to ensure that New Deal programs benefited all Americans, regardless of race. Though much of the Roosevelt administration's public work was marred by compromises with Southern Democrats who upheld segregation, Ickes worked behind the scenes to create programs that would directly benefit African Americans. Under his leadership, the Public Works Administration, PWA, not only built physical infrastructure, but also provided opportunities for Black Americans in construction industry. Ickes' fight for racial equality was evident in his staunch opposition to discriminatory policies that excluded African Americans from economic recovery programs. He insisted on hiring more African Americans in federal projects and ensured that they received equal wages for their work. His efforts were not always successful, as the political landscape at the time was deeply resistant to change. However, his determination paved the way for future civil rights movements, demonstrating that progress could come from within the very systems that were meant to oppress. Another key element of Ickes' legacy was his role in shaping the environmental policies of a New Deal. As Secretary of the Interior, he oversaw the creation of national parks, wildlife refuges, and the expansion of conservation programs. Ickes was a passionate advocate for protection of America's natural resources, and under his leadership, the government made significant investments in the preservation of the nation's natural beauty. His efforts were instrumental in the establishment of the Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, which provided jobs to young men, while also preserving and restoring national forests and parks. Ike's environmental and civil rights policies were ahead of their time, laying the foundation for future movements in both areas. But his path was never easy. His progressive views often clashed with Roosevelt's more pragmatic approach, and he faced criticism from various factions within the government. Despite this, Ike's commitment to his ideals never wavered. He wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo and demand more from the federal government, even when it was unpopular. While Ike may not have been a household name like Roosevelt, his influence on American policy and society is undeniable. His work in civil rights and conservation helped set the stage for the social and environmental changes that would unfold throughout the 20th century. Ike showed that true leadership often requires persistence, vision, and an unshakable belief in potential for change, even when the road ahead seems impossible. Harold Ike's legacy is not one of fleeting fame or popular acclaim. It is one of quiet persistence, a commitment to ideals even when the political winds were not in his favor. As Secretary of the Interior under Franklin D. Roosevelt, Ike's work extended far beyond environmental conservation and civil rights. He was a major architect of Roosevelt's New Deal, which reshaped the relationship between the federal government and the American people. Beyond his public works projects and advocacy for African Americans, Ike's played a critical role in securing the political and economic infrastructure that made the New Deal successful. He understood that for America to recover from the Great Depression, the government needed not just to spend, but to create lasting systems of social and economic support. Ike's worked closely with other key figures in the Roosevelt administration to craft and implement policies that would offer long-term solutions to unemployment, poverty, and economic inequality. His work was about laying the foundation for a future that was more inclusive, equitable, and resilient. But despite his significant contributions, Ike was a man who often found himself at odds with the political realities of his time. As a progressive voice within an administration that often had to compromise with conservative factions, his policies sometimes faced immense resistance. He battled not only external opposition, but also internal pressures, as certain factions of Roosevelt's own government were unwilling to fully embrace the sweeping changes that Ike believed were necessary. Despite this, Ike remained unyielding, understanding that history would judge his actions not by their immediate results, but by their long-term impact. One of the most enduring aspects of Ike's legacy was his fight to include women in the federal workforce, another progressive stance that set the stage for future political and social movements. By promoting policies that allowed women to hold important government positions, Ike contributed to the opening of new doors for women in politics and public service. His efforts helped pave the way for the gender equality movements of the mid-20th century. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Harold Ike was his unwavering belief in the power of government to enact social change. At a time when government intervention was viewed with suspicion by many, Ike demonstrated that government could be a force for good, capable of addressing the issues that mattered most to the American people. He didn't just see the government as a tool for managing the status quo. He saw it as a tool for revolutionizing society, for creating a fairer, more just America. The impact of Ike's work is still felt today, not just in the infrastructure projects he helped build, but in the ongoing conversations about the role of government in providing for the needs of its citizens. His belief that government should serve the people, that it should actively work to reduce inequality and protect the environment, remains a cornerstone of progressive political thought. Though Ike was not a household name, his quiet revolution reshaped the American landscape, and his legacy continues to inspire those who believe in the power of government to change lives for the better. Harold Ike's legacy, while not widely celebrated in mainstream history, remains one of the most enduring stories of quiet, transformative leadership. As a figure in Roosevelt's New Deal, he exemplified the power of persistence, conviction, and a deep commitment to justice, even when faced with overwhelming opposition. Ike may have been a man of few public accolades, but his impact is woven into the very fabric of the 20th century. Through his work, Ike helped redefine the relationship between the American people and their government. His vision of government as an instrument for social change, for securing civil rights, and for protecting the environment set the stage for policies that would continue long after his tenure. His quiet revolution was about making the government work for everyone, not just the wealthy or the powerful, but for the common man, for workers, for marginalized communities, and for the environment. Despite his relatively low public profile, Ike's influence on American society is immense. His role in the New Deal helped to lay the groundwork for the social safety nets that define modern America, from unemployment insurance to Social Security. His work in environmental conservation helped establish the framework for America's national park system and its broader environmental protection efforts. He fought for racial equality at a time when such causes were rarely embraced by politicians, and his efforts to ensure that African Americans received fair treatment in public works programs paved the way for later civil rights victories. Ike's story reminds us that true leadership is not about seeking the spotlight, but about staying true to one's values, working tirelessly behind the scenes, and pushing forward even when the road ahead seems uncertain. His contributions were sometimes overshadowed by the larger-than-life figures of his time, but without men like Ike's, the world would have been a much different place. His legacy serves as a powerful reminder that history is shaped not just by the most visible figures, but by those who work with integrity and vision, often out of the public eye. Today, Ike's story challenges us to think about what it means to lead with purpose. It asks us to consider how we, too, can have an impact, not through grand speeches or attention-grabbing moments, but through quiet dedication, a focus on justice, and a commitment to making the world better for future generations. Harold Ickes may not have sought fame, but in his work, he achieved something far more lasting, a legacy of real, lasting change. So, what do you think? How can we apply Ike's quiet yet powerful brand of leadership to the challenges we face today? Are we willing to fight for justice, progress, and the common good, even when the path seems difficult?